G'day guys, welcome back to another Rosh Reviews, where behind us we have got something pretty damn special. This is a ED XR8 Sprint. The first Sprint, 1994, still got the Windsor manual. This thing is essentially a GT, but lighter. And today we're gonna review this thing. We're gonna give you guys the history, show you around this, get it on the road, launch it, and man, only 300 in Oz in the red. Let's fire it up. All right, guys, so in the ED XR8 Sprint, and they only built 361 of these. 300 stayed in Australia, 61 went to New Zealand, and man, we've got the 5-liter Windsor out of the GT. So this one, 192 kilowatts, 405 Newton meters. And look, it's not a lot by today's standard, but in 1994, that was some grunt. And hey, I gotta say, on this windy back road here, you get this thing sort of 3,000 onwards. It's still got some life in it, absolutely. In a manual, it's a lot of fun. Now, I've previously reviewed an ED XR8. If you guys want to check that video out, you can click the pop-up banner right here. But this one being the Sprint, it is a bit of a big deal because there was a lot of significant changes. And you might just be looking at this thing going, oh, it looks the same, it's got a Windsor, it's still manual, like, you know, it's a similar thing. No, well, it's not, because this had a host of upgrades, let alone it got 30 more kilowatts over the standard XR8. The manual as well, it's got different gear ratios. Even the steering rack is different. This thing is much more capable. It just is. And yeah, you can tell cruising around here, just the steering actually has a little bit of weight to it. This was the first Sprint that Ford ever came out with. And it's like the GT of before. So the EB GT, it's got the same running gear. So I've previously done an EB GT as well. So if you guys want to see that video, click the pop-up banner. But this was essentially a stripped down version, and for a lot less money. So, you know, there's no real luxuries in here. Like, it's wind up windows. There's hardly any electrics. There's not even a cup holder. There's not one cup holder. Can you believe it? This was a driver's car. Absolutely. You know, it does have aircon and, you know, some luxuries, but for the most part, this is it's a pure driver's car. And I fully get it. When you drive it, you experience it on a back road like this. Back in 1994, this thing would have been absolutely epic. And, you know, look, here in 2024, it's still impressive. Now this example, it is basically 100% original. So it does have an exhaust, so it's slightly louder. But apart from that, this thing is really as original gets. And probably one of the most interesting things about this XR8 Sprint is the fact that in '94, this was one of the test vehicles. So all the magazines, you know, all the reviewers, they were getting behind the wheel of this thing and they were putting it through its paces. You know, it was this one, I believe there was a cobalt blue one as well. And it was hosted in a huge amount of magazines like Wheels Magazine, Road and Track. They actually had Glenn Seaton, the V8 supercar driver, test this thing. And it was sitting in this seat in '94. That's just pretty cool. I don't know, I like all the documentation. You know, the owner who has this, it's really his pride and joy. He's taking great care of it. And yeah, just some of the history that goes with this car, it's something special. Let me just tell you guys though, there's something special about an older car like this and on a windy back road with a manual 5-liter V8. It's just connective. You know, you can really feel what this car's doing, and yes, it might not be the fastest thing on the road or have the best brakes or handle the corner as good as anything, you know, modern, but you can really just feel what the car is doing here. And I don't know, there's just something special about this thing. You know, the fact that this thing came out in '94, you know, I was barely 4 years old, and to see this thing as clean as it is and in good a shape as it is, driving as well as it is down this back road, it is truly impressive. And yeah, wow, they had a pretty good recipe with this car. I'll tell you what, it's not the fastest thing, but man, it's enjoyable to drive. I just want to mention the wheels here too, guys, because these were pretty well exclusive to the Sprint. You might have seen a very similar wheel on the EA SVO, but I think they were slightly different. I think these look absolutely awesome. They're 16-inch, and funny enough, I think for Ford to actually legally run these wheels from factory, they actually had to put these little like lip guards on the side of the fenders just so it was like legally wide enough, I think, to have them. Funny that, but you can see it on the edge there. There is definitely a little bit poking out off the side. And yeah, these wheels, they actually remind me of the Mercedes wheels. I can't remember what Mercedes wheel I'm thinking of, but I know they're Mercedes. What are they called? They were called something. I'm sure it was a Mercedes that had these, a very similar style wheel. I'll show you a picture of what I'm talking about, but I think it was the Hammer, something about that. It was something, Hammer something. But yeah, these are a good looking wheel, I reckon. Now look, back in '94, you wanted to buy one of these things. I wouldn't say they were cheap, but they were definitely cheaper than the GT. And if you wanted to get a regular ED XR8, it was going to be around that 35 grand. To get the Sprint, it was essentially an option, and it was going to set you back around 9.5 grand. So you're all up around 45,000 bucks for this thing. And in 1994, that was a good chunk of change, no doubt. But I believe the GTs, they were closer to like 60, so in a way it was kind of a bargain, maybe. And there just really is something special about this 5-liter Windsor. And you know, it's not even your standard Windsor, this thing, because again, it was upgraded. Had an upgraded camshaft profile, GT40 heads, the valves were upgraded, bigger throttle body. Just, you know, again, the manual's got different gear ratios. It really does make for just a truly enjoyable drive. And it definitely has that more sporty bite to it on a back road here, 100%. And guys, again, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit the big red subscribe button, click the bell notifications, like it, leave a comment. What's your favorite thing about this XR8 Sprint? It's got to be this Windsor for me, man. This thing is just beautiful. The noise, shifting gears. Yeah, this is a beautiful car. Now guys, we're going to do the WiperTech wiper test on the ED XR8 Sprint. So you've got this very tiny stalk on the left-hand side, so we'll pull it back, see what the wipers do. Oi, the jets come alive still in the '94. And hey, does a better job than most cars. I'll tell you what, that's a WiperTech Wiper Pass, I think. But guys, remember, we are sponsored by WiperTech, so if you want the best wipers for your car, use the link down below. It's code ROSS15 off. You're gonna get 15% off and free express shipping. So huge thanks to them. And let's launch this thing. 0 to 100, guys, powered by C-Tech. Let's see if we can get something done here. So we got it in first. We're gonna reset the draggy. And here we go. Come on. $100. Oh, we don't want to hurt the old girl too much, but yeah, blow some cobwebs out there, mate, and let's see what she did. Look, we did like 10 seconds, but I think these were claimed around 7.6 back in the day. Obviously, we're on a back road. I'm not trying to hurt this thing, and it's from 1994. You know what I mean? Like, this thing is old, so it is what it is. And yeah, like, I tell you what, on the back road though, it's beautiful to drive. Now I'm gonna finish the video off here today, guys. So what do we think of the ED XR8 Sprint? This thing, it is truly a classic. And I have to tell you, in the 5-speed manual with this high performance Windsor, yeah, this thing drives so well. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but man, it is just so connective. It's raw, it's communicative, like, it's just got that charm to it. There's something about this car. I don't know what it is quite yet, but man, I'll watch this back a few times and I'll figure it out, because wow. Yeah, truly special. In 1994, Ford came out with a banger here, and it's a true classic today. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one, guys.